So I'm just getting back. It's 11:30, and it was kind of an awkward situation. I left the wellness festival tonight. Well, I was waiting there. One of my new friends, she's from Lebanon. She's kind of a nomad like me, lives around the world. Carly, she said, let's go eat together. And so she's, I just got to pack up my stuff because I'm leaving the place I'm at. Well, she took forever. Everybody left. Every single staff member left. And I'm like, are you still coming? And she's like, yeah, I'm trying to sort out something with the room, this or that. So, it was like a little awkward and staying there. There's one security guy left in me. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. I'm so glad I did though, because it was such a fun experience. She took me to Old Town and we went and ate at this local restaurant that, had Middle Eastern food, and we had a good time there. And then we started to walk around the streets of Old Town, and you'll see some of the footage here, and got to see that, and it was super cool. And people smiled and waved as I videoed the whole way. And then as we were getting back to our car, I was trying to get an Uber or a Kareem, the kind of version for Uber here. I was trying to get some kind of car so she didn't have to go drop me off, because I was like 15 minutes the other way and it was late, and she was supposed to meet her friends at 11. And anyways, and so three women in the traditional hijab, I think it's called, where it's all black and you just have the eyes. So three women were coming down the street, and so Carly asked them, since she speaks Arabic, she asked them, about some information on a car, and they said, well, I should use this other app. This other app was better, and I'm trying to download the app, and it's taking forever. And I'm like, Carly, look, I'll just go ask for a taxi, right? I'll go ask for a taxi in that restaurant over there, so you can just leave. And then the three women are like, oh no, we'll take you. And so I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And so they all go. So three of these women in the hijab, and they take me into the car, and we get into the car, and then the party starts. This is the craziest thing ever. Oh my gosh, you would never believe it. The music comes on. They whip out their phones. They're videoing me. I'm videoing them. It's this whole thing. The lights are on. The music's pumping, teaching me Arabic dances and doing this. And they're hooting and hollering. And the woman driving is dancing away and woohoo. And it was, oh my gosh, it was the most fun thing ever. Unfortunately, I can't use the video on social media. Well, I mean, unfortunately, or just that's the way it is. They liked me taking the video, and they liked watching themselves in it afterwards, but they made sure that I'm not posting it. I'm like, you can't see who you are. You can only see your eyes, but of course I'm going to respect that. So I figure I would share the story. So just imagine for a moment, me, little Miss Nomad, in this car with three women in the hijab sitting there videoing me and pumping loud music on, and the lights, and they're taking pictures, and they're dancing and hooting and hollering, and none of them speak any English. And it was the most fun thing ever. It was the funnest ride and the safest. The last several drivers that I've had of guys from here and Uber have been on their phones the whole time in front of their faces. She was dancing and actually driving very well, so I was very impressed. And so I was very impressed because, at one point in time, it would have been a requirement to dress like that. It's no longer a requirement, so it is a choice at whatever level that choice exists for people that have, kind of been forced to do that for their whole lives. But obviously, they're taking other liberties that they didn't have. Until very recently, driving wasn't allowed for women. So they're choosing to still, dress very conservatively. But obviously, they're enjoying music. Music was not allowed here, by the way, several years ago. Music was not allowed in the streets, not allowed anywhere. There's no music, no dancing. And now I can walk down Old Town, not tonight because we had rain and so the musicians were out, but there'll be musicians in the street. These girls are in the car dressed so conservatively, all I can see are the eyes. I can't see anything else. And they're dancing away and the music's pumping, and the woman's driving better than any of the guys I've driven with. And it's just, it's super impressive. I'm meeting Every day I'm talking to Saudi women and talking about their experience here. Some of them still dress in this manner. Some of them are on the extreme, dressing, more like me today, with my little, belly suit. And I've met them, and they told me, like a year and a half ago, they were dressed just like these ladies tonight, and with the hijab. And and how much of, they've all talked about their challenges and struggles coming out of it, and starting this whole new life. It's an incredibly exciting time for the country, and for the women especially. Incredibly exciting, because I'll tell you what, I have met so many intelligent, bright, strong women since I've been here. I am very, very thoroughly impressed. And they're at all levels in their journey. This is a very new journey for them. And so they're at all different levels of how that's affecting them. And there, of course, there is a drastic effect from a lifetime and also generations of, having lived like this. But at the same time, what they're doing now, and the jobs that they're holding, the positions in the companies, and, just the things that they're doing, and the new businesses that they're starting, and the conversations that we're having are just kind of very, very insightful, very aware, and they're trying very hard to learn and to be themselves and learn what that is. And I've been very impressed since I've been here. I've also been very impressed, at how much the government has, put forth an effort. I heard even today that there's a master's program called Empowerment for Women or something, and the government has for years now has sponsored a lot of young people in going overseas to have an education overseas, in England or the US or Canada, or something like that, and it's fully sponsored. I've met men and women at this point who were sponsored in these programs, and by the Saudi government. And so there's a lot of efforts being spent by the government here, you can tell, to make some drastic shifts in the style of thinking, the way of being, the liberties. And so there's a lot going on here. To me, it's an extremely exciting time for this country. I see a lot of potential here, a whole lot of potential, and the women blow me away. So, who knows it? Maybe the women of Saudi will rule the world one day, and one day soon. I don't know. Anything is possible. This is a powerful country, with a lot of resources, and I'm impressed. And I've had some great conversations with the men as well. Some really insightful conversations. I spent the other night when we went to Elephant Rock, I spent hours talking with a young Saudi banker who lives in Riyadh. And we had some very insightful conversations. Conversations, about life, about, how women are now in the marketplace, and, maybe sometimes the women, get jobs that, maybe they weren't the best qualified for. And, so we had conversations. This is a conversation that happens often in the US too. In the US, we call it affirmative action. Affirmative action means that companies often are required by law to hire a certain amount of minorities, be that people of color or women, because otherwise in the past, most companies were statistically white male. And so this type of law has encouraged more diversity, but always there's the case of some people complaining, oh, this person got this job only because they were a minority, and so on. And, of course it must happen sometimes. But just like, I had the conversation with the banker, a Saudi banker, and he's talking about how, he always hires the best person for the job, and, he doesn't understand why, sometimes women are given jobs, just because. And I said, well, you're a very forward thinker. You're a very fair person. You're very open-minded, and you probably are hiring the best person for the job. But, just like in the US, not everybody is, if left to their own devices, it becomes an all male dominated, and per culture, what that dominant male is, and that's statistically what it's been. And so having new kind of systems like this in place that encourage more diversity, while it may get, used perhaps in a way that's not ideal sometimes, I think overall it's having, it actually starts to enforce, more equality. And so, it's something that around the world, that this is something that, most countries are still, facing some, you know, attention to, in order to how do we bring about more diversity in this age, and what are the best ways to do that. So it's been interesting conversations. They're intelligent conversations. People have been open, people have been educated. We've talked openly, and they tell me about their stories, they tell me about their upbringing and where they went to school and what they do, and how they think, and I talk about some of my experiences, and it's been talking from women, with women from all the walks, and to the men as well. I've just been having an extremely good time. It's all been very insightful, and I will say a far better experience than I could have imagined. I don't think I had an imagination of what it would or wouldn't be, but I don't think I thought I would be having this kind of experience here. I definitely, after my car ride tonight with these three lovely women, they were just so gregarious. They were so fun-loving, beautiful. Well, I could see, beautiful people. They seemed very beautiful people. They offered to help me with anything. I tried to offer money. They were just very almost offended that I even asked. Unlike my first night, after the person, the officer who gave me a ride home, and then in the morning he took me there to the five senses sanctuary and said that he'd gotten too little money the night before. And I said, look, I paid you more than an Uber driver, and I didn't ask for the ride. And so yeah, that was kind of the last conversation. But so it was interesting how there was a money exchange there, and then it wasn't enough, and then here these women just would not even hear of me offering anything, and I actually felt offended offering, and they were just like, no. So anyways, it was pretty cool. They took my information. I offered to meet up with them later to have a bite to eat, or maybe we could have some coffee or tea, or go out. And so we'll see. I think that would be fun to go out on the street, maybe in Old Town, with some of these women. They certainly seem to enjoy being with me, even though none of us could understand. I sent a little message, a text, and it was written all in emojis. I was like, if you can't communicate in words, you can communicate in emojis. They're already following me on Instagram, so they probably will see this video. Hopefully it's been complimentary, because for me it was nothing short of a positive experience, and probably will be the highlight of my trip, to be honest. Being taken in by three local women like that, who obviously are still extremely conservative, at least in the way they dress, but how fun-loving and open and warm and helpful that they were to someone who was in need of trying to get a late ride home at night. So anyways, this was a great evening. So I'll share that with you. And they told me I can keep the videos for myself of our fun car ride that I'll never forget. So I will keep them, but they won't be shared here. But just try and imagine it, because you can see this Saudi Arabian party in the car. It outdoes any other party I think I've ever been in.